Well, Jessica, thank you so much for organizing this and for having me today.
You're welcome. I'm super glad you got to be here. I first found out about Breanna when I was invited to one of her workshops that she was doing, I guess, a year and a half ago or so at you and your husband's restaurant. And it was a question and answer critique session with Michelle, Vice Maslin, I believe. And I was just really struck by all of her knowledge and just her attitude. And so I started following you on Facebook, and I thought, well, she would be a great speaker. And one of the things that really struck me about Breanna was her determination, because when she talked about writing her first book, I think you said that you have small children, and so in order to get the book done, she had to get up at 4 a.m. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so now when I think if I want something or if I want to do something, I'm like, do I want it 4 a.m. bad? That's kind of my standard now.
Yeah, like how bad do you want it, right? Yeah, no, that's great. It's funny. I actually I pressed repeat and did the same thing and launched my second book last week. So I literally did the 4:30 a.m. wake up call, did the writing for 2 hours. The girls woke up at 6:30, get them ready for school, and then hit it again. And I mean, it's a really weird, manic kind of like crazy month and a half, but it works for me. So I'm like, well, I'm just gonna do what works.
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, so we met. Michelle Vice Maslin is a Emmy Award winning sync and music license. She's a singer songwriter, but she's a sync and music licensing expert. She's placed over 5,000 songs in film and television, and she knows her stuff, man, when it comes to sync and music licensing. So she's very, when it comes to songwriting for her, she used to perform. She's not performing anymore. Her projects are very, very specific, and they're geared towards film and TV projects, or people will contact her and say, hey, I need a song for an intro, for a Disney show or whatever it might be, or a movie. Or so she's definitely not on the, I mean, obviously she's very creative, but she's not thinking, oh, I'm going to write music so that I can go perform it at a open mic, or it's just a kind of different avenue that she's taken with songwriting. But it's awesome. It's exciting.
Okay, Michael, you do the business thing, and then I'll mute everybody. Just mute yourself, if you will, so it won't be making any noise.
Well, there's as everyone knows, that the live events are pretty much gone to Zoom, except for Love and War that we talked about on the fourth Thursday. And everybody's encouraged to come out and bring your own mic on that night. And otherwise, we've got lots of room on the Zoom open mic on each Wednesday, starting at 7 o'clock. And then the Saturday showcase, that's by invite, but you're certainly encouraged to watch on Facebook. We post it live on Facebook. All of these are posted live on Facebook, so I think we're on Facebook now, probably.
Yes, we're streaming live.
And now, the other major item that I'd like everybody to think about, we've sent out some things about this is our annual donation season, and we're part of North Texas Giving Day on September 17th. Encourage everybody to sign up to give whatever you can. We always could use the money to keep these programs going, keep everybody happy and educated and performing whatever we do. So take a look at that. And other than that, I can't think of anybody else have any news. Anybody doing anything musically that we'd like to hear about? Any new songs out there? If you have them, come on, bring them on critique night that we're going to do tonight.
We've got about 7 songs for tonight.
Well, that's great.
Yeah,
that's great. Breanna, when we have experts like yourself, we often ask them if they would like to be one of our guest judges of the songs of the evening. Would you be willing to do that for us?
So I was actually telling Jessica, I will stay as long as I possibly can. I may not be able to make it through all 7 of the critiques. I'm happy to stay for at least the first few. I have 3 young girls who I need to tend to and make sure they're fed and all of the things. So I can't stay too far beyond. But yeah, no, I definitely want to stick around for a little bit and help and be a part of it.
Great. Well, that's great. Well, we'd love for you to go ahead and get started. I think Jessica's given us a little bit of intro. She tells us that you're an amazing songwriter, consultant, et cetera, et cetera. You even have a restaurant. What is your restaurant? That's kind of a well-known restaurant, isn't it?
It's called Victor Hugo's, and it's in Oak Cliff. And it's on Beckley and Zhang, next door to Jonathan's. There's Spiral Diner, Jonathan's, and VH. So Victor Hugo's, it's a little house that got a 1920s old home that got converted to a restaurant a few years ago. So yeah,
cool
we've been,
name, right?
yeah. Well, my husband's name is actually Victor Hugo, so it's named after him. Yeah. His middle name is Hugo. And yeah, it's like his mom was reading Les Mis when she was pregnant. It's one of those, like it's like legit. So we've been open for, it'll be 6 years this month. I can't believe it. Just like the music industry, the restaurant industry has been hit really hard. And this has been a wild ride, most definitely. But, we're just trying to stay positive and do our thing and just hang in there. Because that's all we can do, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I really, Jessica, again, I really appreciate the invitation. Harry, thank you so much for, helping get this organized. And when Jessica asked me to come speak to you, we kind of went back and forth as to, well, what do you guys want to hear about? What would be helpful? What would be most valuable to you guys? We narrowed in on a few topics. But what I'd love to do, I will kind of go into sort of my process. We talked about creating, clarity in your artist vision. We talked about online business strategies as an artist, as a musician. And we talked about ways that, to have like ways to get things done, like productivity and plan of action and ways, like she was telling you, I needed to get my book written. So how did I get it done? I organized my life around it. I woke up really early and I created, I created a plan to get it done. Okay. So we talked about plan of action and that might be a topic that you guys are interested in. A little bit about me. I'm a performing artist consultant, singer, songwriter, been doing music my entire life. I started off in musical theater because when I was growing up, there weren't music schools or artist development programs on every single corner. So musical theater was my vehicle growing up, and I absolutely loved it and went through high school and college doing musical theater and realized when I graduated, I ended up in Los Angeles at Pepperdine University. When I graduated, realized, okay, I'm burnt out. Like I've stepped foot on one theater stage in one show since I graduated college. And that was a long time ago. So ultimately, I realized that music was my first love. I did commercial and radio voiceovers because I was in LA. I'm like, well, I'm in LA, so I should be an actor, right? So I kind of dabbled in that for a little bit and realized, well, that's not me either. So I was able to kind of realize music is my first love. It's my first passion. I was living in LA, and at the time, American Idol, reality television, like reality singing shows were just starting to really hit. So I auditioned for American Idol on season 4, which was the season that Carrie Underwood won. And so I actually was on season 4 of American Idol. And that was like 100,000 people auditioned that year. I think season 5 exceeded 100,000 people auditioning. And then from there, it started going down. It tapered off a little bit. But I was definitely kind of in that crazy cattle call mix. And it was a really interesting, kind of crazy, weird whirlwind experience. But what it did was it showed me like I had what it took to actually, do something in music. If I can be, a top 100 finalist out of 100,000 people, then obviously I can sing and I can perform. And it's kind of good to know that, So that gave me a lot of confidence to just continue going on with music. And I was able to eventually form a band, gig around Dallas. I started having children. So then things started evolving for me as far as my relationship with music and how much time I had to really do those things. And I started kind of transitioning my role. So I started performance coaching and vocal coaching. And from that, I formed the material for my first book, which kind of takes you through my journey on American Idol. But then it really goes into like audition prep and just really focused in on, you know, navigating the highs and lows of your music journey. That's something that I always tell people. Like there's a gazillion, I mean, you guys know me, how many books are there on how to play guitar or how to have an effective song or how to sing, but no one is really talking about like, how do you actually deal with the real life highs and lows that you go through as an artist and as a creative? Because we all know that it's not easy being creative. Like, you know, you could be super, like, you put out a great song, you're super proud of it, you're excited, and you kind of hit this high, or you have a great performance or whatever it is. And then the very next day you're like depressed because your high wore off, and then you're like, you know, looking for the next high, the next creative high, right? So that's something that I talk about in my first book and kind of leaned off of. But, you know, what happened for me was that first book opened up opportunities to speak at music festivals, to meet people like Michelle Weiss-Maslin, and start collaborating with a lot of different people in the music industry on different, you know, in different ways, on different levels, and connecting with independent artists who weren't looking necessarily to get a record deal, right? They were looking to create sustainability in their artist careers. So I started working with them on online business strategies, which is another topic that we kind of brought up today, Jessica. You know, ultimately those foundational pieces, the marketing, like you guys could write a gazillion amazing songs, or an artist can write a great, you know, a ton of great songs, but like if they don't know how to market it, or if they don't know how to have a really clear, concise, compelling image or story, you know, you got to tell those stories, right? You have to let people know. We're saying someone needs to mute. Oh, Seth Berg, mute. Then, you know, it's going to be really hard for people to get their music out there when they don't understand the marketing behind it, right? And then also the social media aspect of it. You know, you have to create an opportunity for people to discover you, and there's a lot of, you know, different things around it. So that boils down sort of what I do now. I'm an online business consultant for independent artists, and I'm also a reality TV music coach. So I actually coach artists who want to go on reality singing shows. I always let people know that reality singing shows are not for everyone, and I view it as just an extension of a whole other platform. So it's essentially another platform for you to get your music heard, to get your message heard, and for you to make a music impact just in a different way. So, you know, when people have their opinions about American Idol or The Voice, you know, I listen to them all because I'm on both sides. I agree with it all. However, there's no denying that if you can get a million new ears and eyes on your music, your message, and, you know, your artistry, then it could be a really great way for you to build your fan base and your impact. So that kind of boils that down for me. Tonight, I wanted to get an idea from you guys. You know, I was going to touch on a few things and then open it up to some question and answer from you guys, because I want this to be something that is effective for you guys, valuable for you. I want you to be able to walk away from this feeling like, okay, I want you to feel energized. Like, I'm going to go slay my day tomorrow. I want you to like have an action item or something that you can do that's going to like help you in your career, like a tangible something that's actually going to support you. And I want to just create an opportunity to have a dialogue that will support you guys, because your needs as songwriters are similar, but they're different as well from the needs of, you know, artists that I work with. And I'm just open to talking about it all. However, I can best support this group. So does that sound good? Can I get like thumbs up? Are y'all tracking with me? You know, what in the chat? I love it, Gigi. Yep, we got hands in the air. Cool. Okay, so let's just let's quickly just talk about creating clarity in your artist business and like of having an effective plan, like identifying, okay, what are the priorities? I think it's really easy to get hung up on all the things happening and we get distracted, right? So, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I wake up and I'm like, what am I doing today? You know, and that doesn't necessarily mean that we have to be overachievers every single day. I'm not suggesting that. But if we look short term, even just the next 3 months, for the next 3 months, what would we like to accomplish? Right? So for the next 3 months, what do you want to see happen in your music career, right? As a songwriter or as a performer? Maybe you have never performed on an open mic, right? Maybe it's time to sorry, I'm just looking at all the chats here. Is everybody okay? Maybe it's time to challenge yourself to get on an open mic. So in 3 months, maybe, you know, the goal for you is, what is my plan of action so that at the end of this 3 months, I'm actually going to be at the open mic at Love and War or virtually or wherever, right? So everyone has different priorities. And I just wanted to quickly walk you through my favorite way to identify what the real priorities are. And I call it the clarity brain dump. And I'm sure all of you are very familiar with what a brain dump is. It's not something that I invented, but ultimately what I do is I'm a colors girl. I get all my little markers out and I get a big piece of paper. And by the way, this is actually how I wrote both of my books as well. So for my books, I basically wrote down the idea or the concept, and you guys could use this for new songs too. If you're wanting, like, let's say you know, whatever your genius hours are, it's midnight, you wake up and go, oh my God, I got a song idea, right? And you want to start brainstorming it or whatnot. You could use this as a different way to kind of pull out some ideas. And you could put maybe the concept of the song in the middle of the paper. And then I always set my timer for 10 minutes and I just free flow, no judgment on the piece of paper. And I just start dropping words, colors, ideas. I even will put people, like, whose support do I need to make this project happen? And all of those things. Give me 2 seconds. We have barking dogs right now. So I'm like, okay, so brain dump. And then you're going to, like I said, I like to set the timer because you don't need to completely dump everything. This should not take you hours. Now you might start a brain dump and then revisit it. So sometimes for my book, for example, I would do the main thing, and the book was a little longer than 10 minutes, but I do the main thing and then I'd revisit it the next day. And then every time I'd walk past, I'd be like, oh, wait, I got an idea. And I'd go add something. But for a song, you might be writing something down, like I said, colors or, you know, concepts or even stories, like stories that you want to tell through this song, things like that. So it's just a different way to maybe construct your song, or at least construct the ideas that you want to communicate, right? The message. And if we want to be using this brain dump in a fashion for planning and for goals, let's just pretend, you know, that your goal is to, well, it doesn't really matter. You don't highlight what your goal is. You don't put your goal in the middle. You literally just think, I actually will section off the paper sometimes. I'll think like one corner is personal, one corner is creative, like projects or songwriting. One corner can be like self-development or like exercise, eating well, those types of things. Okay. Personal or self-care. And then the other would be like business. You know, what type of goals do I have for my business? So if you need a framework to identify what your priorities are, then that type of framework is great because it takes the whole person into account, right? like a really holistic view that's very realistic, because our lives are not just music, or our lives are not just business. You know, we have homes to run, or we have children, or we have work, whatever, our jobs, whatever that might be. So if you needed a framework, then you can quarter off your page, you know, 8.5 by 11 page. And in one corner, focus on self-care. On another corner, focus on music business, maybe. On another one, creative projects, anything songwriting or anything creative. And like I said, that last piece would be maybe home, or, you know, things like that in your kind of realm that you like, your day to day. And so when you set that timer, that's when you can just start dropping all of the ideas. So you're going to be, that's when you can be dropping all of the ideas, and you don't necessarily have to go to the quarters and say, okay, now I'm going to brain dump about home, you know, but you just need to like allow yourself to put pen to paper and free flow in a way that will, I always say, reveal what the priorities are. When that 10 minutes is up, you look at the paper and you might see things that are in common. You might see commonalities like sprinkled throughout, and you want to highlight those commonalities. Like if you see songwriting, or like a specific song idea, if you see something really specific 3 different times, that's a clear indication that that's going to be a priority of yours. Okay. So you want to circle those, anything that's popping up multiple times in different ways. And you might link, you know, oh, that kind of goes with that, or that goes with that. But the whole purpose of the brain dump is to identify, oh, I see what you're saying. I'll move my collar a little bit here. Is to identify what your priorities are. Is that any better? Thumbs up, maybe. Oh, good. I'm sorry, guys. So that's the idea of the brain dump. When you look down at the paper, you're going to circle 3 things, or you're going to highlight 3 things that stand out as the priority. And this is the priority that you want to create a plan around. This is the priority that you want to knock out in the next 3 months. So that's one way of creating a plan for yourself, so that down the road, you know, you're not, it's like the whole idea, like between now and the end of the year. I mean, if you want to look at it that way, this has been like, this year has not looked like what any of us wanted this. I mean, well, maybe for some of you, but for me, this year has been really wild. And I mean, I didn't even think I was going to write a book. So I actually have COVID to thank for that, because I actually had time to write a book. So that was cool. But, you know, this year did not look like what I planned for in January. So now I look at the circumstances and I say, okay, between now and the end of the year, what do I want to look at back and like decide, okay, I want to focus on this for the next few months. Maybe for me, it's, I need to slow down because I just like busted my hump putting a book out. Maybe I need to like just focus on chilling out and being present with my kids for 3 months. Like, I don't know. I have to figure that out for myself. But, you know, everyone is different. And this is simply a way to identify your priorities. So when you do this, I call it the clarity brain dump. When you do this brain dump, you want to look for the things that really pop out after that 10 minutes of brainstorming. And then you want to take those 3 things and create a plan to actually get it done. So, for example, if one of your priorities is, I want to be featured on an open mic night, or I want to write 5 songs. Like, I want to finish and write 5 songs, or I want to actually get some of these songs produced, you know, like get some really good, strong, you know, production elements done for them. Then that's when you have to start bringing in, okay, whose help do I need? What do I want the overall outcome of this? What do I need to do to get this done? Okay, so you got to organize your life around it. You have to say no to some other things, maybe because you have to eliminate distractions. You might have to say no to some opportunities, because if you were to say yes, it might take you away from your biggest priority. And you have to take action. You have to actually execute. You don't take action, this ain't getting done, right? So that's the biggest thing. It's like, we can all think in our heads, oh, wouldn't it be nice to get this done by November or December, right? And we think about it, that would be great. Some of us actually believe that that's nice and all, but that's impossible. So that's kind of a mindset thing that you need to tackle. But if you create a plan to take action, and obviously there are things out of our control, like COVID, for example. But if you create a plan of action, you can at least know and have the confidence of knowing that you're taking action towards making stuff happen for yourself. So that would be my first recommendation for, creating just some like momentum for yourself and being extremely intentional and strategic with how you're moving forward through the end of this year. Can I ask if that was helpful at all for you guys? Did that give you any ideas or any new sort of creative, even like associating the brain dump with the with songwriting too? I mean, like I said, I do that for my book, so I don't know if that's not going to work for everyone.
Yeah, in fact, we sometimes have a meeting where the meeting is to get together in different groups and come up with some songs pretty quickly. And the way we start off is everybody comes up with just an idea in their head, and we write on the board, and pretty soon we got 15 or 20 different ideas, and we wind up making songs out of these ideas. So that's exactly what you're talking about.
Great. It's like you're connecting those dots.
Very effective tool to just free flow, think, and write things down, and then try to connect those dots and make a song out of it, or a book, or whatever you're doing.
I'd like to add just one thing to that, where you're talking about an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and this goes back to my programming business and so on. For me, it's a whiteboard. I go stand at the whiteboard, and I basically start with a blank whiteboard, and I try to fill it up. And sometimes I will just draw a cross on it, and it's different sections for different things. And it's like in programming, my other career, I had a saying, and I was known, I would aggravate my employees with it, because what I would tell them is, you want to start programming right now, and you haven't figured out what it is that you want to program. But the sooner you sit down at that keyboard, the longer you're going to be there. And so by spending more time planning, and to bring it to songwriting, I would do that same thing with songwriting, and I might take an idea, and then I might take that idea to the whiteboard and come up with all sorts of things where I'm developing the story around it. And
absolutely.
Personally, I invariably write music first and then lyrics afterwards. And so, I have to fit it in rhythmically, but I'm never going to be able to fit it in rhythmically if I don't have a plot, if I don't say first verse is going to tell this part of the story and so on. So I try to assemble it that way. And usually if I do that, and I do that well, the lyrics themselves and the syllables and the counts and everything kind of take care of themselves.
Absolutely.
There.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. No, it's great. When I wrote my book, Rick, I'll take your question in just a second. When I wrote my book, it definitely wasn't an 8.5 by 11. I'm pointing behind me because behind me is my garage. I took over my husband's man cave, and I literally, put butcher paper over, I taped that butcher paper on the wall and took over the whole wall and just went crazy on it. And to him, he was thinking, do you guys remember that movie, A Beautiful Mind? It's like all these like connections and circles and all the things. Yeah. Wayne's like, it's me, I'm a beautiful mind. So, that's what it looked like. So of course my husband, who, he's creative in his own way, but he doesn't fully understand my creative brain. He thinks, well, he appreciates my creative brain, but he was like, wow, my wife has lost it again. Right. So that's pretty funny. Rick, you had a question or a comment?
Well, yeah. Can't hear me, can you?
Oh no, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I sure can. I can hear you.
Sorry. Yeah, a couple of things. One is I find that, as far as writing music, which, I've I've been writing songs, if you will. I almost consider them sometimes more poetry than anything, but it depends on how you want to structure it. But what I've found is that a lot of times when you start an idea, you have to put it down and let it go. Just toss it to the side for a while until maybe you look at it again a day or a week or a month later and you say, oh, I kind of see where I was going with this, but I didn't see it at the moment. The other thing is I went to a songwriters workshop my first time in 2016, I think it was, with Terry Hendricks and Lloyd Maines down in Port Aransas, and that was very interesting to go through, especially when they had us sit down and try and corroborate with a group of people, like 4 or 5 people, to write a song. You find that gets really interesting.
Yeah, that's cool. That must have been a neat experience.
Oh, they're great people.
Yeah, that's really cool. Terrific. Okay, go ahead.
I was just going to say there was another songwriter organization that I've done meetings with, and what you're describing was the very same thing that Amanda was describing, which is called mind mapping.
Yes.
And in the center of the page, you put your song idea, or your subject of the song, or whatever it is, and then we had an exercise at a songwriting workshop where we used this technique, and we were given 2 hours.
Oh my goodness!
We were put in groups. There was 3 in my group, and we had to come up with a subject, lyrics, music, melody, in 2 hours. That was it. That's all we had was 2 hours.
That's a great challenge.
We wrote a great song out of that, so it's exactly what you're kind of talking about.
So let me ask you something. You did that exercise at this retreat or workshop. Have you done it again since? Like, is it something that you repeated because you saw the success that you had taking that different approach?
I haven't for myself. Writing by myself, no. When I'm writing with other people, we kind of do that in a way, but not specifically that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. So yes and no, but mostly no. Although it was very successful how we did that. It was actually very successful.
That's great. So. That's really neat. I love hearing that. It's great. So there's a couple of things as we move forward. Again, I want to speak on things that are going to be most helpful to you. So one of the things Jessica and I talked about was, online business strategies, for songwriters or just for artists in general, for creatives. Are there areas for you, and you can just type in the chat. Does everyone hopefully have access to the chat? If there's areas for you that you struggle in, like maybe either type in social media or marketing, or do you have email lists or, things? I definitely want to speak to what's going to be most helpful to you all. And this would be more on the online business stuff, like as far as promoting, your music, or, are you interested in trying to get music in film and television? I do have, before, I leave you guys, I do want to share with you a training that is happening for sync and music licensing for any of you who are interested in that. It's a free training happening in the next few weeks with Michelle Weiss-Maslin. She and I are throwing that together. So I think that might be something that the group might appreciate. But I definitely want to, I see social media options and social media to promote my music. I can definitely speak to that and support you guys in that way a little bit. Can I get maybe a thumbs up if branding? Okay, I see branding. Yeah, we can hit on some of that for sure. Copywriting, legality. Yeah. Okay. So why don't we just dive into some social media talk for a second, and branding, marketing, and then we can take some questions. Does that sound good? Yes. All right, cool. Y'all are tracking with me. Cool. Okay. So let's start with social media. I am not one to say or think that you need to be on every single social media platform. I think you should be on the main ones if possible, but you should really just be where, your fans are, or where those who you're trying to get your music out to. Like if you're using your social media account to attract awareness for you as an artist and a songwriter, for you to attract awareness for your actual music or your songs, then you need to be thinking of, okay, where are those people, or the people I'm trying to attract, where are they hanging out? Are they hanging out on Twitter? Are they hanging out on Facebook? Are they hanging out on Instagram? Where are they hanging out? Most likely they're hanging out on either Facebook or Instagram, because those are the top two. They're owned by Facebook anyway, both of them. But Twitter is a different type of social media platform, and a lot of people have Twitter accounts, but it is used in a different way than Facebook and Instagram. The one thing I will, and this kind of goes along the lines of like branding and marketing, the one thing I will say is when you have a Facebook or Instagram account, make sure it is a business account. So if we start with Facebook, okay? So you have your personal Facebook page, your personal Facebook account, and then you just create like a sub page, right? So a page, which is your business page, okay? So, Wayne Willingham Music, or whatever your business name is, or whatever that might be. So you have a business page that you can have your website address on and all of that stuff. And it's geared, those posts on that page are going to be geared primarily towards promoting your music and promoting what you do as a artist business. I encourage people to use the same photos. So if you have an Instagram account and a Facebook account, you need to have what I call brand continuity between the two accounts. So your business name on Facebook, for me, it's Breanna Ruelas Music. I'm also on Instagram as same name, Breanna Ruelas Music. Those are my business accounts. I'm using the same exact picture on both accounts. I want there to be no confusion. This is the same person. So brand continuity is very important. The description, you have a little bit more leeway in Facebook to do a bit more, right? On Instagram, you have like this tiny little like rectangle of information you can put in there. But on Facebook, you can do a full bio and about, you can do an entire story. There's all this really great stuff that you can do in Facebook. So whatever it is, make sure that there's consistency across the platforms between Instagram and Facebook, or whatever social media. If you're on YouTube, for example, it's the same thing. YouTube would be a great place for you to be sharing your music, and you get 1,000 subscribers, you can actually start monetizing it. So if you are a YouTube person and you think that people can discover, and by the way, they'll discover you on YouTube when you tell them that you're on YouTube, right? So it's up to you to get people there, right? To tell them to go subscribe to your YouTube channel. You want to make sure, again, same picture, same name, same description, same about, okay? So creating brand continuity is going to be really important. For social media, again, content creation and consistency is also very important. So could I get an example? Type in the chat what you use social media for mostly. So the biggest purpose for you in using social media might be networking. It might be sharing music. If you could type in the chat for you, like, and some of you may just have a personal page and you connect with friends and family on it, and you don't even have a business page, and that's okay too. But I would like to know from you guys what you use social media for most. Announcing gigs and music releases, good. Wayne, I see your question. I'll get to that in the end. Gigs, okay. So promoting gigs, promoting virtuals, promoting all the things, promoting new songs. Okay. All right. So video and lyric video and streaming credit, that's cool. Okay, so here's the thing. When you have gigs and music releases, hopefully you have a plan in place, especially if it's a music release. Hopefully you have a really clear plan in place, a promotion plan in place, building up to the music release. If you don't, I highly recommend that you put one in place. Okay. So it could literally be, depending on the type of release that it is, it could be a 2-week, social media build up. It could be a 4-week. I don't necessarily recommend beyond that because it's sort of like out of sight, out of mind, but at least 4 weeks. Gigi also says posting my behind the song series. Oh, I love that. That is so engaging. Once a month on YouTube. Cool. Okay. So Gigi, can you tell me if you're on Facebook and Instagram or just Facebook or?
I'm on Facebook and I have an artist page. But,
okay.
I actually have an Instagram, but to be honest with you, I really don't even understand how to use it.
Yeah, that's okay. No, like you can stick to Facebook and YouTube. That's great. So
I started Facebook initially just as everybody had a Facebook page, and then somebody was telling me to do a website, and then it was like, why do a website when you can have a Facebook artist page? So I did the artist page, but I'm not consistent, as you say.
Yeah.
Content creation and consistency. I'm not, real consistent with that, but that's how I started. And then I started this once a month YouTube thing, but we can talk about that later.
Cool. That's awesome. Okay. No, great. That's terrific insight for me. And that helps me in guiding the conversation a little bit. So I'm just going to speak to these things, right? So once a month, there's a behind the song series. Once a month, there might be a gig you're promoting. Once every couple of months, there might be a music release or whatever it is. If you're only posting on social media for those things, it's going to be hard for a lot of people to see, right? Because it's like kind of a few and far between posts, and it's like, hey, look, I'm gigging, or, so it's important if you want to create engagement and for people to, they need to expect to hear from you more. So creating a consistency, you really want to shoot to post on social media, at least twice a week. I would say twice a week minimum. If that's unrealistic to you, then post once a week. Whatever it is for you that's sustainable and realistic, commit to it and create a plan. So I'm going to give you a really easy way to start. Identify, because you also want to be promoting or talking about things on your artist account other than, hey, I'm gigging, or hey, get my new song, or hey, you actually want to be creating like authentic conversations and engagement. So when you're posting, think beyond what else can I talk about? And this goes to you. If we want to talk, we talked about marketing. People are, struggling with marketing. Well, marketing and social media, like they go hand in hand. So this comes back to you deciding, well, what do I want to talk about? And you've probably already answered this question because you're writing music, and you're wanting to communicate something through your music, right? Some sort of message, either story or some sort of something that means, is important to you. So you have to definitely decide what you value, what you're comfortable sharing on social media, and how you want to communicate with people, and how you want them to, feel when they hear your music, and also just when they're working with you, right? So if you are looking at your social media, I'll give you an example. For me, I kind of boil it down to 5 social media pillars. And I'll be honest, I have them all written down. I don't know if I can come up with them right now, but I know for a fact that one of them is, I love inspiring and encouraging. Like I always say, like, I'm going to light a fire under you to get going. Let's go. I love coaching on reality TV music. I love teaching online business strategies for independent artists and creatives. And what else do I love? Quirky. There's always one that's kind of quirky. Like I love Trader Joe's and, Justin Timberlake. Like it's just kind of like, or even The Bachelor, like really, really bad, The Bachelor, right? So one quirky pillar. And then my last pillar is, talking about, I don't even remember, but there's one more. So there's 5. And then what I do is, if we want to talk about brainstorming, content creation, like brainstorming content, set aside one Sunday or pick a day that you have a few hours or an hour, sit down, figure out what those 5 pillars are for you. Like, for example, one of my artists that I work with, he's like loves his dog. So like that's his one kind of quirky pillar. Like he's a dog dad. So you're going to see dog pictures sprinkled through his Instagram feed and his Facebook feed because he loves dogs, right? So for you, it might be, tacos. I don't know, could whatever it is. I don't know. So what you would do is you have those 5 topics, and that just serves as a framework. So when you're posting, like yours might be, obviously songwriting, that's important to you. Whatever the quirky one is. Maybe there's a social thing that you feel really compelled. Like I have an artist who's really into mental health. Like, so she really likes to talk about the importance of supporting mental health and things like that. Everyone's different in terms of like causes that they support or whatnot. And when you're sitting down, there's just a few questions you can think about. Okay, what's 5 ideas around this one pillar? What are 5 things that I can talk about around this one pillar, but do that for each one. So in an hour, you could ideally come up with 5 or 25 different posts. So you could come up with 25 different post ideas within an hour that you can always either plan out, or you can go to the drawing table and you can pull from. So if you're like, oh, shoot, I was really wanting to post twice this week. What do I post today? Oh, wait, I just spent an hour brainstorming 25 content ideas. I'm going to go over there and I'm going to pull from that. Right. So it's just a way to brainstorm content in one batch. So you're batching it. But secondly, it's a way to create consistency, not only consistent posting, but consistency in your message, consistency in the message you're delivering. So, you're not just, my friend Megan Kuhar, she has this incredible product called the Content Alignment Toolkit. But Megan always talks about panic posting. And she talks about you have to stop panic posting. She has a great podcast. And she talks about the importance of avoiding panic posting. So when you do a little plan or a little pre-work, you can avoid panic posting and you can create some consistency inside your social media feeds. Is that helpful? Can I get a raise your hand? Was that okay? Cool. Great. Terrific. Yeah. Consistency is so important. And so again, and then that will also give you material that's something other than, hey, come to my gig, or hey, buy my music, or, it's actually, it's interesting stuff that people would want to talk about with you or get engaged on. Right. And hopefully when people are commenting on your post, always comment back. That's another way to increase engagement. And therefore more people will see your post. So keep that in mind as well. Terrific. Okay. So, and let me just kind of go through this as well. Okay. Yeah. So those would be my biggest tips for, social media, is to create consistency and give yourself a content, a content plan so that your messaging is consistent as well. It's not just about posting consistently, it's about consistent messaging as well. Okay, so what I'd love to do now, my dogs are going crazy, guys. I'm so sorry. What I'd love to do now is actually open up. Oh, here, Michael Roth says, I need a personality. Where are you, Michael? You're funny. Just, aren't you drinking wine? That could loosen you up a little bit. Love that. Okay, so what do you feel like? You have a sync license question. Oh, Seth, I'm not a sync expert. Michelle is. But I've taken her classes, so you could certainly ask it. And if I can't tell you, then I'll send you to this. This is what I will do right now though. Harry, is it okay if I share the free music licensing training that's happening? There's going to be a Q&A online and then also an actual training at the end of the month. Is it okay if I share the Facebook link to the Q&A on Facebook next week?
Yeah.
Okay, so in the chat, I'm going to throw this link in here, and it's literally going to be live on live on Facebook. This is the actual Facebook link, and that's the information. It's next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central, and the link there will take you directly to the live. So you just need to tune in to that link at 2 p.m. Central on Wednesday, September 9th, and you'll be able to watch it right there. And it's going to be a full Q&A for sync and music licensing. Michelle has literally placed 5,000 songs and has over 5,000 sync placements. And Jessica, I know you had a chance to meet her and listen to her. She's fascinating. I will tell you this right now. She is no nonsense. She cares. She has a huge heart, but she lives in LA, but she kind of has that New York, thing going on where she just says it like it is. And I love that about her.
Okay. I have a question.
Okay.
How do I get on reality TV?
Woohoo! What show are you talking about?
Anyone.
Okay, cool.
So what are the tips?
So what I would do, first of all, is you need to first identify what you qualify for. So for example, you can't go on American Idol because the age cutoff on American Idol is, I believe, 28 years old. So that's not going to work for you.
But,
however,
yeah, you can lie.
you could lie. However, something like The Voice or America's Got Talent doesn't typically have an age cutoff. The other tip would be go to those websites and see, because I know for a fact, a lot of them are doing virtual auditions, obviously, right now. And so you can go to those websites. They all have casting sites, and click the link, and you can either be notified when they're casting and when to submit a video, or you can, it'll take you straight to how to submit. Usually, because I think The Voice is casting right now. So you could just start by going to those websites.
So what are the tips on getting started? What do you do?
Yeah. So that's why I say that's the starting point. You first got to figure out what the opportunities are, and you have to figure out what you qualify for, right? So the second thing that's really important is that you got to be the package. So we all know that these reality shows are not just about your singing voice. They're about your personality. So Michael, you're going to have to pop up that personality a little bit. So it's about your personality. It's about your talent, and it's about your story. Those are the three things that are going to make a complete package when it comes to these reality shows. So I literally my book that it just launched last week, by the way, it launched to a bestseller status on Amazon. So yeah, so excited about that. In fact, I was going to pop the link to it's an ebook right now, and it will be paperback next month. So it's called Make Reality TV Your Reality, and it's about how to crush your reality singing show audition. So Michael, you want to know the steps, just buy my book, and you're
we're gonna buy the book, huh?
Buy the book.
Get some free advice here.
Oh no, I'm giving it to you. You're getting it, but I'm just saying I can only tell you so much in the next minute, right?
Okay.
So if you go to my ebook, you'll be able to see it all, but it starts with understanding that you have to get your ducks in a row if you're going to be able to stand out amongst all the people that are auditioning, especially now with virtual auditions. Okay. So you want to make sure that you have a very clear, concise, and compelling story. You want to make sure that you're choosing the right song. You want to choose a song that's relevant to today's music landscape. And I highly recommend up-tempo. Now, if you want to audition with an original song, which some people have success with, that make sure it's a hit. Okay. Make sure for a fact that it's going to get attention. It's going to be catchy. It's going to be a hit. Because there are people who have made it on these shows auditioning with original material. It has happened. It's risky, but it has happened. I always recommend that people have at least 4 to 5 songs in your back pocket that you can pull on that are going to really position you with a solid audition. So make sure you're choosing songs that are, if ballads are your thing, make sure you have at least a few up-tempo songs in there, because most likely they're going to want that. We have to be thinking, you're entertaining them. This is an entertainment television show, right? So song choice is critical. Having a really solid, compelling story is very important. And showing off your personality. They're casting you're becoming a cast member. You're literally becoming a character on their show. They're not telling you to be someone you're not. You must be exactly who you are. But ultimately, you have to fit inside their show. And you have to tell them, like, you got to show them very clearly where you belong, where you fit inside their mold. So that gets you a little bit started. And again, if you really want to dive deep,
I'm on my way.
Yeah, if you want to dive deep, go get my book on Amazon. Awesome. So Harry, I think we're out of time, but if we want to maybe take one more question, I can make it quick.
Anybody else?
Awesome. Was this helpful to you
No,
guys?
I had a question.
Yes.
I couldn't find the mute thing.
Same
So
here.
you do.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh.
I was just going to ask. So you do like private consultations?
I do. So I do online strategy business support for independent artists. I do strategy consults as well. And they're typically 60 minutes. And my website is breannaruelasmusic.com. And the information, if you want to book a strategy call, I believe is on the Work with Breanna page or something like that. So you can peruse. I'll type my website in here as well. Breanna Ruelas, Ruelas, music.com. And you guys can follow me if you're on Instagram or Facebook. You can follow me at Breanna Ruelas Music. But yeah, you can find me there, and there's a contact form too. So if you have any questions, after this that we didn't get to, please feel free to email me or submit through the contact form. My email address is info@breannaruelasmusic.com. So you can also email me, and we can, if you want to sit down and strategize anything, then happy to schedule a session.
Very good.
Wayne, thank you so much, Seth. Thank you. Wayne, did you have a question real quick?
Well, yeah, it was what I posted there. But basically what it comes down to is I had, for the last year and a half, I had started making real headway and getting myself
booked and all that.
Published, and then bang, everything falls to pieces. And here I am with a fourth album in the works, and I was selling it and promoting it all over the country, and now I can go all over my house.
Yep. I know, that's tough, right? So this is why it's important, Wayne, that you're connected virtually on social media platforms. And I know that that's a real bummer, no doubt about it. Unfortunately, I think a lot of small venues are going to be having a really hard time coming back as well. So there's that as well, because even when they allow us to start traveling and gigging and doing all that again, we also have the problem where a lot of these small venues aren't going to survive. So this is, in my opinion, this is not a problem that's going to be solved quickly. And it's going to be important that you get creative and shift trajectory a little bit and utilize the online platforms that are available. Now, if you have an email list, or if you, I hope that when you were gigging at all these places that you were collecting emails. Yeah. If you do, then you can create online virtual events that you can charge for and send this information, create a consistent plan for your email list, and send them the information and say, hey, I am so excited to bring you my fourth album. You supported me at this, here, or, it's a bummer I can't be touring, but I definitely want to keep bringing you new music. So please, check this out and tune in. You can get your ticket here, and then thank them. Thank them for being a part of your, your music journey, and thank them for coming along for the ride, and ask them to come hang out with you again. So those are just a few suggestions. I know this isn't easy, and look, everything's very uncertain right now. So yeah. Thank you, Harry. I appreciate that. Guys, thank you for being so kind and welcoming. And I hope this was helpful to you. I'm happy to come back anytime, Jessica and Harry. So you guys holler at me. I love supporting you guys. And yeah, if you guys need any further support, just find me at BreannaRuelasMusic.com, or again, you can always email me. So
Thank you so much.
yeah.
Thank you.
Loved it. Yay, look at all
Good.
the claps. So we're gonna have some songs now, Harry.
Yes, I think we got 7 songs.
Okay. Well, maybe Breanna can help us out for a little while, and we got Joe here.